So, in this week's Coronation Street, Hang
on a minute, you're supposed to introduce the section.
This is Street Talk, everybody. Welcome. This is the part of the podcast where we talk about what's been going on in Coronation Street this week. Hello. And we've got 7 stories, kind of, but most of them are not very much. Yas fighting is what we're going to talk about first. What's been going on with Yasmeen and Geoff?
Everybody was Yasmeen fighting.
Yeah. Then we will have... Sorry, I just got distracted by a text message.
For God's sake.
What? Sorry. Then we've got the serious case of the Ollie Wobble. So serious, so wobbly. Finally. No, not finally. Next. Oh, the Nana Romancer. I've got a subtitle for this week, Gemma. The gooseberry. Because Roy was certainly a third wheel this week. No, that's a good one.
I don't think that's the first time I've heard that of you.
No, I told you a few days ago.
I'm sure you've used that.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Always original.
Pear by the grace of grace is our 4th storyline.
Pear by the grace...
We've had this at least 3 times. It's a rubbish storyline title, I know. And then we had something with siblings today, which I haven't come up with a storyline title yet for, because it caught me off guard. We had a little bit of the Kelly and the Killer, and ever so slight amount of Johnny Scott issues a couple of days ago as well. I am going to take the lead in the Yasmeen storyline. This is what happened, everybody. Kathy came into it, and I thought that Kathy was going to be involved a bit more this week. I kind of only half paid attention to that first scene on Monday where she comes round, because I thought that it would become more evident what her visit to Sally was about. Because she says, I saw Geoff coming out of Yasmeen's the other day. Has he moved in or something? And this was a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it, that Geoff actually moved back into his own house. And Sally's like, yeah, he doesn't live here anymore. But at the moment, Sally says, I'm not taking sides. This is when Kathy tells Sally about Yasmeen in a box. And although I enjoyed Coronation Street this week, in fact, I think Monday and Wednesdays were very, very strong episodes, I did feel like more than needed to be this week involved characters telling other characters about information about what's happened. Like, this is what so-and-so said to me, and this is what I said to so-and-so, and did you know such and such?
I know, it becomes tedious if there's too much dissemination and not enough. Like, I need a reason to care why this particular person is being told this.
Yeah, I thought today's episode was particularly bad for that. An awful lot of it was yesterday. So-and-so said something to me. Well, I'm going to go and tell so-and-so what so-and-so said to somebody else the other day.
We know that some of these are... I know you told me not to say this in this bit, but some of them are mixed up lockdown stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So it just makes me wonder whether it's the writers reminding themselves.
I don't know. I don't think...
That's a joke. That's not true.
No. I think in this particular story, it all felt like it was pre-lockdown filming. But yeah, because this is where Kathy reveals to this is where Kathy tells Sally about Yasmeen getting locked in a box. And at this point, I'm like... Oh, doesn't everybody know about this yet? I'm sure we've had lots of revelations about... So do you know about Yasmeen in the box? No, I never knew that.
Did you know about Yasmeen in the box? That still not everybody knows...
About Yasmeen in the box?
The truth.
Well, I mean, if why doesn't Alia just go around telling everybody? She's a massive big mouth. Oh, yeah, fine. Or Kathy or Eiley or... I think maybe everybody who needs to know about Yasmeen in a box knows about it now, but I'm not completely sure about that. They just need to take down that Chesney and Gemma billboard that's above Prima Donna and just put some major storyline plot points that everybody just needs to know. Make things happen a lot smoother. So anyway, Kathy also goes and talks to Brian about this, but yeah, that doesn't really come to anything. So Alia goes to ask Sally if she'd consider being a witness for the defence. She says, look, you were with Yasmeen in the pub the night that she did the old stabby with Geoff. You saw her wearing that dress. You saw she wasn't comfortable. What did you think? And Sally, she's still on the fence. She doesn't want to betray Tim, but she'll think about it. And the whole thing about finding out about paying for the holiday, I think, comes up there as well. Not the holiday, the wedding, I mean.
Yeah, that was another example of something where it's like, yeah, we know. Yeah. We know this.
Yeah. So Sally then goes to prison to ask Yasmeen about the box. And
I think you'll find she goes to the prison Weatherfield car park. Because it's all...
Oh, yes. It's dual purpose, isn't it? Well, dual is maybe underplaying it.
Yeah, it's
this is where
a modern way of using space.
This is where that Essex boy was broken down outside in today's episode, wasn't it?
It?
So anyway, so Yasmeen is being visited by Sally, and she doesn't really want to talk about Geoff. She's trying to change the subject by saying, "Oh, isn't everything that's going on with Leanne terrible at the moment?" But with Sally's gentle prodding, she reluctantly starts to open up about Geoff, and it seems that yet again she's going back to Geoff's controlling ways and saying, "Oh, he did what he did because he loved me so much." And Sally says, "Look, well, why did you plead not guilty then?" So Yasmeen eventually says, "Look, I just couldn't take it anymore." And this is when she starts saying about the skirts, the skirting board crosses, how Geoff managed her finances. Again, it felt to me a little bit like a repeat of what she'd done with Alia when she came to visit her a few weeks ago, just opening up and telling somebody new about it.
Yeah,
they just need to get everybody on their sides to go visit Yasmeen in the prison together, so they can all find out together.
About it because at least it was interesting. Like, it was interesting in a different way to see Sally learn about this.
It was, and that was one of Sarah Khan's finest moments in recent times. I think that when she was having that chat with Yasmeen and we had the why aren't you crying kind of thing. But yeah, it just as a viewer felt like I've seen this before just with other people. Anyway, she also talks about the red dress, how Geoff burnt her clothes, but still she says it's still my fault though, because deep down Geoff is a good man and what I did was worse, it was unforgivable. And she's like, "Don't tell Tim either, please." So that's it with that scene. Geoff sees Alia talking to Sally later, and then they have a bit of a hug, so his cogs in his brain start whirring and what's going on there then. So he confronts Sally back in the house, and Sally at this point has finally gone over to the good side. She says that, "I know about the box, I know about the money." He thinks at first that Alia was the one that's told her all of this, but she's like, "No, actually, I've been to see Yasmeen," and Geoff's caught right off guard there. He's furious and he's yelling at Sally, and he wasn't expecting that, although to be fair, he should have been. And then this is when Tim comes in, which I thought was a great little cliffhanger on the end of Monday's episode. Tim initially seems to stand by Sally because he's just walked in to find his dad mouthing off at his wife. Well, not quite wife yet, biggest wife, whatever. Sally is there accusing Geoff of all sorts, and he denies it all, says, "No, this is all Yasmeen's lies, this is what she wants you to think, this is what Alia wants you to think." And Tim's like, "Right, Dad, you get out, I need to talk about this with Sally."
This would mess with my head so much, wouldn't it mess with your head? If everyone's saying something different and they're all saying, "Can't you believe me, they're lying, they're manipulating you, oh, this is what they want you..." Oh, I don't think I could cope with it.
No,
I'm not very good with people who lie.
At some point the scales are going to fall from Tim's eyes, aren't they? But it's still not yet. But
the thing is, it's because I believe the last thing I was told.
I know, I'm pretty bad about that as well.
Like Donald Trump. So I would get very confused.
So Tim's alone with Sally later, and he says, "Look, sorry, Sal, I know you're my wife kind of and everything, but I just can't back you up on this. This is my dad," and he's on his own, and the whole street's turned against him. And
because he's the victim, isn't he? So,
yeah,
like
he's got the scars to prove it.
And Sally is one removed from the victim. It might be difficult if Yasmeen was in front of him saying, "Please believe me, Tim."
Yeah.
But it's Sally, and he doesn't. Honestly, I don't care what you say about Tim and Sally. I don't think Tim respects Sally's opinions or thinks that she is.
Well, there's been a lot of evidence of that in the past.
Yeah, exactly. Based on the evidence,
he thinks that she's a poor judge of character.
I don't think that because she went through all that affair stuff. He made her not be mayor anymore because she was getting bullied. I just think he thinks she's, despite all the other evidence of the contrary, she's not a very strong.
No, he thinks that she's easily manipulated. It's just totally ironic because Tim's clearly been brainwashed by Geoff at this point because he's just parroting back all the rubbish that Geoff has been saying to them.
Well, you would believe it.
Yeah. So Sally's...
Because you've gone your whole life and your dad suddenly stabbed somebody. Well, dad suddenly gets stabbed in the neck, and then everyone's trying to tell you that he's the perpetrator.
Yeah, you can't really be too mad at Tim at this point, honestly. Even he just will not hear anything that Sally's saying.
Especially considering that coercive control and emotional manipulation is something that people really have had not much cause to learn about or know about unless they knew somebody who was going through that. Especially not somebody like Tim, who's a lad's lad, who probably hangs around blokes. They never talk about their feelings. He's never
Yeah, he
broken
didn't
the
even know what
spine
emotions are.
of a Cosmopolitan magazine, he wouldn't even know. So this is probably a whole new world to him, that this is even a thing.
I bet he has. I bet back at the cab office, when he's a really boring day, he has a rifle through Eileen's stash of mags.
He's going, look, if you buy this Chanel handbag and you use it every day for 10 years, it's actually only 50p a use. That's what they do in those magazines, you know.
So
price per wear, so reasonable.
Geoff, you're saying this to me because our wedding anniversary is now less than a month away until the big
Chanel.
Wig 1-0, and you just subliminally.
It's not subliminal, darling. I don't think I'm getting Chanel back.
Geoff back home is looking very panicky, he's starting to lose control, and he decides to email the prison because he wants to get in touch with Yasmeen. There's a little scene in Victoria Garden, which, to be honest, could be cut in Canada, I think. It's just Tim and Faye. Tim's going, your granddad isn't evil, is he, Faye? He is a nice guy. We are on the right side here. And Faye's like, yeah, he's lovely. And Tim has a little reminisce about a time when he was being given a piggyback by Geoff at the beach, and he falls over and cuts his knee.
Geoff probably pushed him over.
No, Geoff was the one that fell over. Geoff cut his knee, but he made sure
it's probably Tim's fault.
Tim didn't come to any harm himself. Anyway, that was... I didn't need that scene.
Well, so one time when I was a child, my
one
dad
time when I was a child, my dad was
sand.
nice for me. Yeah, so he couldn't possibly have done all these things that Alia's saying, right? Yasmeen is on the phone to Alia later saying...
Tim is like one step away from being on like one of these grotty American networks where he's the bewildered relative of a serial killer going, well, he was always perfectly nice.
Yeah.
Or like one of these neighbours who's like kept himself to himself, seemed like a decent kind of chap, had no idea he was murdering all those prostitutes with Arthur, the Salford slasher.
I hope that Tim really has to grovel to Sally at the end of this
He won't,
say, you were right all along, Sal.
I don't think he will. I think no, judging from what he's done before, he really has. He's got a little bit of Geoff in him. I know people will hate me saying that, but I don't think either of them ever want to be wrong.
Well, if you've been brought up by somebody like Geoff, then it's a bit of a
the thing is,
nurture thing, isn't it?
If you've picked up all of your emotional tactics and you know, it's behavioural, isn't it?
This is how you treat women.
If you watch this happening, I don't think he's seen this though. This is the thing.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know how much of this Tim has really observed in his father.
I mean, it makes you wonder whether he saw much of it when he was really young and just didn't understand what was going on.
Well, listen, people that go through it don't know what's going on. Yasmeen didn't know what was going on. You could certainly excuse a child for not realising what was going on.
So Yasmeen's on the phone to Alia later and says, oh, it's so nice to hear Sally believing me. And we get to find out that Yasmeen's got a job in the prison library, which I thought was great. Even though we have had people online pointing out that the library is like a coveted job at any prison. So the fact that this newbie would be given the job is, despite her references, would probably be unlikely.
You got to shank a few choice ladies in the yard to be given the coveted prison library gig.
But it did just make me think of Poussey from Orange is the New Black, and it made me a bit sad for a little while because she was in charge of the library too. We all know what happened to her if you watched it.
It didn't make you reminisce about the time that they had the flashback in Orange is the New Black, and they were dealing drugs out of the library. That fascinating story.
I don't remember
those
that
two
bit.
sisters. And they both killed each other.
I loved Orange is the New Black. Anyway. I remember. The one that looked like Deirdre from the 70s was one of the sisters. Yeah. That's right. Anyway, she also, Yasmeen very handily happens to have overheard one of the officers at the prison saying, oh, Geoff wants to come and visit me. What's going on there then? And
people are going to moan about me spoiling that. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. It's too late. It's finished. It's been gone a year.
It has finished ages ago.
Alia says, look, if Geoff does try to come and see you, you wouldn't let him come and see you, would you? And Yasmeen does not seem convinced. She says, no, of course not. But you can tell she's like, oh, maybe I would. So, but luckily that's not going to happen because Geoff gets an email at the end of the episode denying him a visit. It's basically saying, yeah, you are a little bit involved in this case, aren't you? It's probably not a good idea.
He flips his pie.
He does what anyone would do in this situation and gives his pie a good old flip across the kitchen. And then he goes,
sorry,
Yasmeen's not here to clean up on me anymore.
Yeah.
That poor carpet, it has taken quite a hammering over this past 6 months, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's the point, actually, because I said when Geoff was bleeding out on the carpet, they're going to have to replace that.
Oh, yeah, they
Yeah,
did,
they?
didn't you?
They just left it.
It's had curry on it, it's had chips, it's had blood.
Dead chicken.
Now it's got pie and gravy.
Just move the sofa.
Just get lino, solve all your problems. Friday. This is when there's a lot of filling in, like I said earlier, about what happened the previous episode, Alia and Sally at the beginning. Tim then goes over to see Geoff and says, look, and Jeff's like, sorry I had to go at Sally yesterday, I'm just real pent up because nobody believes me at the moment. Alia's spreading these lies and everybody's taking her side. And Tim's like, well, just don't shout at my wife again. And also Geoff says that he might go back to work today, which I'd kind of forgotten about the whole work situation and Alia and Ryan
I tell you what
flying
this
the flag at
is.
speed dial on their own.
This is because Geoff feels frustrated and thwarted, and he can't get into Yasmeen's head, but he knows he can irritate Alia. So she's like the punch bag now. That's why he wants to go to work.
Yeah, I think you're
so
right.
he can be He can feel powerful over somebody because Alia can't stop him. So
Because are they equal partners, Geoff
I think
and
so.
Alia at the moment? Geoff / Yasmeen and Alia.
yeah.
So Tim goes home and tells Sally about Geoff wanting to go. No, Tim goes home. This is when Sally tells him that Alia had told her that Geoff wanted to go and see Yasmeen at the prison but isn't allowed to. So Tim goes back to Geoff and says, Sally's just told me what Alia's told her about what Yasmeen had told her. Is this true? And Geoff,
Just like,
yes,
damn it.
whatever you say. Oh, you lost me
lost
about
the
three
train.
people ago. But yeah, definitely true. Unless it's something that Yasmeen says, in which case it's all lies.
No, he said, I love Yasmeen.
He
I
does.
miss her.
He
I want to
does.
see her.
Yeah, he wants to go and see her. He says.
The pie. He's
Yeah,
gonna-
it's not for nefarious reasons. I promised him.
Tim, while you're here, you see that pie that's on the floor?
Yeah, go on, do me a favour, Tim.
I'll put a red cross on it and it's still there.
Tim probably just eat it off the floor.
Tim's like a golden retriever.
So they go. He goes off to work. Geoff does, and he gets obviously.
Well, no, yeah, he goes to speed dial, shows his face in
Yes,
there.
he gets a quite cool reception from Alia and Ryan, who are not expecting that. And they're trying to tell him to bog off, but he's like, no, you can't make me. I
No,
work
you-
here. I own this
I'm
place
the victim.
partially, so stuff you, Alia. Tyrone is also there, and this is a little extra facet to the story that's been added, a few more characters that have been added into the mix.
This is a bit of crouton on the top of your nice Caesar salad, this is.
Yeah. Tyrone has chicken Caesar salad, in this case.
Yeah, no anchovies.
Charlotte Bronte. Tyrone is there having a lunchtime curry with Fizz, and he overhears Geoff pleading his innocence and saying, oh, nobody believes me, she was attacking me, she was abusing me. And he wasn't doing it, obviously, on purpose so that Tyrone would hear him, because
No,
I'm
he
sure
had
he
no
he had
idea.
no idea about this. That was stories ago. That was awards seasons ago.
Yeah.
He's the one in the line for the awards this year. And
Yeah, he was like, don't muscle in on me, Tyrone, you've had your awards.
you've had your NTA. So Tyrone, when it comes to time to pay...
Tyrone and Fizz.
Tyrone, yeah. Tyrone's the one that takes the lead, but it seems that Fizz is also... She's not there saying, no, I don't think we should believe Geoff.
No, I think
she's standing side by side with Ty.
Solidarity, yeah.
Yeah, as Tyrone says, look, I've been through what you went through. Nobody believed me at the time, which was fascinating because we suspected at one point, as did a lot of people, I think, that this storyline would go down the route where nobody believes Yasmeen and everybody's on Geoff's side, but it actually didn't do that, which was refreshing. But this was a story when the whole street turned against the obvious victim, wasn't it?
This was interesting. I really like this callback because it kind of, I think it was important to remind people that men can be victims of domestic violence too, and don't take this storyline to mean that whenever a man says he's a victim, he's wrong and men can't be victims.
That's true.
I think it was a really important point that Coronation Street, like we did the work for this, guys. We've set down the foundations that to tell our viewers, to educate them about men who are victims of domestic violence. So don't start on us just because Geoff is a manipulator.
It makes you think.
It's a different story.
Makes you wonder why Tyrone and Fizz didn't pick up on this a while ago, because this has been out, public gossip for
Well, don't forget,
a
it's
couple of
one thing
months
to
in
know
Weatherfield,
about
hasn't it?
and it's quite another thing to hear the victim being what you think, who you think is the victim of what you have gone through, being berated in his own workplace by somebody who doesn't sympathise with him, and you're trying to enjoy your meal, and it brings it all back to you because he probably tries to put it out of his mind. And then it brings it all back to you when you're just trying to have a nice lunch, and so you have to go and say something to him. It makes sense to me.
Maybe Tyrone and Fizz have missed out on that juicy bit of gossip because they've been too busy with their boring, dull social lives, or social less lives.
Freaking out over Evelyn having a boyfriend.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, Tyrone is now in the Geoff fan club.
Free lunch.
They do, they get free lunch. So, Geoff kind of then goes and gloats to Alia, saying, well, not everyone's on your side.
He's such a little kid.
Imran comes into the into speed dial later and tells Alia, look, Geoff's got every right to come back and work here, unfortunately. In fact, he was probably banking on you walking. You just need to be strong. Keep your mouth shut, Alia. And
I loved her expression when Imran was saying, Alia, you just have to keep quiet. And her face was like, yes, but how?
She says that Yasmeen is going to be phoning her again today at 3:30. But little does she know that Geoff is listening in.
I love the way...
with an evil Machiavellian glare around the corner.
I love the way Alia's like, I will be getting a phone call on my phone at exactly 3:30 this
No distractions,
afternoon.
please, Ryan.
Make sure I am not disturbed.
What do you know?
Put my phone
What do you know?
down
The next
here so I can
scene,
collect it at 3:30 when my gran shall be calling me from prison, where she is the librarian.
What do you know? When 3:30 rolls around, the phone is nowhere to be found. And they have a little bit of a look, don't they?
Oh,
you pointed
she's
out
there.
that Ryan...
She's there picking things up and going, where the hell is it? And
Ryan
Ryan's
just kind
doing...
of swivels round on his chair.
This is what...
He gives it a man look.
This is a husband look. This is like, well, I can't see it from where I am, and it can't be under anything, because that wouldn't make sense.
So they can't find the phone. But yes, of course, Geoff has the phone. He's back at home, and it rings. It's Yasmeen, and he answers. She's obviously shocked and scared to hear it.
This is her safe moment. This is her.
Yeah, she's caught off guard.
She's probably been looking forward to this for days. She gets to talk to her beloved grandchild, and it's an unfamiliar place. She's scared anyway, and then the sound of the voice of her abuser greets her on the other end.
I guess because she's been caught off guard as well. She's where she's at her most vulnerable and most easy to be coerced, I suppose.
I don't know what is going to happen.
I don't
now.
know. He says, I had to talk to you, I miss you. He has a proposition for her.
Interesting. So what do you think this is? Oh, this is another good Friday cliffhanger.
Yeah, it was quite a Good Friday cliffhanger. It feels like, I mean, with everybody turning against Geoff apart from Tyrone, which isn't much, he needs to, stop this from happening. I think
what?
He thinks that, I think he's worrying now that everybody's gonna, speak up for Yasmeen in court, and there's a chance that he is gonna be found out. So I think he's gonna say to her, look, you want me to, drop the charges if you come back to me, because he's already started spinning the yarn that he loves her and he wants her back.
That's what I think he's gonna do. Try and get her to come back to him.
And she totally would.
She would. It makes sense because he's not getting anything out of this situation. He probably thought it was brilliant when she first got arrested and he lived, because now he's the victim, and he expected sympathy and attention, but he didn't get either of those things.
So he's better off
except for Tim.
Just trying to reset things to how they were beforehand.
Well, this is something that he can hold over Yasmeen for the rest of their lives, and I said this before on the show that I wouldn't be surprised if it was possible for them to reconcile, that Geoff would try to make that happen, because he now has ammunition for every single argument they ever had. Like, remember when you tried to kill me?
Yeah.
You have to clean this up because you tried to kill me that time, and she'll be like,
yeah. I can totally see things like that happening. Do you think it's a bit of a they're just going back to where they were 3 months ago? Does this need to extend on and on and on this way?
I'm sorry if anyone's finding it that it's dragging, because I'm not at all, and I think it's a logical evolution of this story.
I don't want. I mean,
I always thought this was possible.
A lot of other things have changed since. I mean, he's got a lot more. There's a lot more people on Yasmeen's side that don't believe him now.
I also think it's really fair to explore it. We know that often in domestic violence cases, the police will come to a house and they'll find a woman or a man who's been beaten by their partner who refuses to press charges, and I don't know what they can do about that. I don't know if they've changed the law or what is involved, but even people who have gone to prison, they go back, their partners take them back. And I think it would be fair of Coronation Street to explore this, because it's not always easy to sympathise with victims of domestic violence when you see them allowing their abusers back into their lives. But this is a lesson we need to learn to sympathise with people in this situation, because it's not always cut and dried. And the coercive control and the abusive emotional manipulation still will have a hold on Yasmeen. It's not like she's magically cured. And I think it would be interesting to see the reactions of the residents if Yasmeen were to move back in with Geoff, and suddenly everyone now is faced with, but she was the victim, but now she's gone back to him, so it can't have been that bad. Yeah. Were we wrong all along to suspect Geoff? Yeah, we shouldn't. Yasmeen was just lying about how bad it was, or Ali was over exaggerating. I don't know. It's a really painful thing to watch somebody go back to their partner, but we know that domestic abuse cases, it takes. I only know statistics for women, but it takes them several attempts to leave their partners, even when they're being physically abused. Yeah, I don't know how easy it would be for Geoff to just drop the charges, because she has been charged now, hasn't she? The wheels are in motion. Is it even up to him? I don't know. I would say maybe not. Sometimes it isn't up to the victim in these cases, because the law tries to protect them from themselves in a way. I suppose the best he could do is maybe wait for the trial to come along, which I'm sure that it was a week. It was postponed by definitely a week has passed now. Yeah. I suppose when the trial comes, if he's asked to speak or anyone's asked to speak, he can just make sure that she gets off. If he says, I've changed my mind, actually, then the jury's not going to send her down, are they? Yeah, if he messes around with the case and refuses to give evidence, yeah, I guess it would be very difficult drop the case? For them to secure a conviction. Yeah, I guess. And then he could say, not only did you try to kill me, but I got you off of the... Maybe that's the point when Alia stands up and says, no, she did do it. You keep her locked away. Because didn't she say in today's episode that Yasmeen was better off in prison and this is the freest she's ever been? Oh my God. I really liked that line when she said that. That was just so ironic. I know. Yeah, this story has still got legs in it, having had a bit of a chat with you, I think. I'm not sure... I'll be interested to see where the Tyrone bit gets into it. I think it literally is just a throwaway. Let's remind everybody that this storyline, we've done this before. It doesn't feel like the story would benefit from Geoff having an ally in Tyrone and Fizz. How Fizz and Tyrone can't even help themselves. I wondered as well if Fizz was also on Geoff's side, whether Toya, who is supposedly a friend of Fizz, who's obviously involved in the case tangentially because of being partners with Imran, could kind of then persuade Fizz that Geoff's a wrong one or something. I was thinking about brooches. What? Why? Sometimes my mind goes... if Fizz is now determined that Geoff is innocent, could Toya, who is on the anti-Geoff side, I assume, because Imran, it's pillow talk in the Habib household, she could go and talk to her friend, supposedly Fizz, to say no, blah, 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 blah. Maybe Toya could even blab a bit of case details to Fizz where she shouldn't have done. I don't know. I'm not really interested in that. I also think that it would be quite difficult I mean, it's going to be difficult to convince Tyrone and Fizz that Geoff is not the victim, because there's so much emotional baggage and projection that they would put onto him, and I just, yeah.
I suppose the biggest change this week for me has been Sally firmly putting her flag in Camp Yaz.
She's not just...
She was on the fence at the beginning of the week, and now there is absolutely no turning back. She can't change her mind.
She's openly hostile to Geoff now.
Yeah.
She set, like you say, she set out a stall. She's not going to be able to weasel her way out of it and try to not make herself... Like, she's a target now, isn't she?
It's whether she now starts investigating and snooping and trying to find evidence for Geoff, or whether she's just
to find
doesn't...
out at this point.
Well, there's still the mystery of Tim's mum, isn't there? Which they've gone a bit quiet on. So she might try and get in touch with her or something, maybe. Or I don't know. They just need to have, honestly, a meeting with Sally, Alia, Kathy, Eileen, get their heads together around a table at speed dial or something, and come up with a plan. Between them, they can do it.
Because I was talking before about what Geoff's not on trial. He's not the victim. He's the victim. So what could they possibly do? And then people pointed out to me that if they can prove a motive that was based in coercive control, it would be possible to get her off. But obviously, if Geoff tries to get her off anyway, that's not even going to come up. I don't know. It's going to be a bit weird. That can't. So that, to me, that makes me think that can't really happen, because that would be very unsatisfying. The story's either got to end here with them collecting evidence, like you say, and coming up with things that they can say that they witnessed.
I think that if Tim's mum got involved, that could be possibly something that makes Tim realise, hang on a minute, my dad's not all that. Or even the chicken thing, because I don't think that Tim knows that his dad killed Charlotte Bronte and fed her to Yasmeen. And I would really hope that if Tim did know that, he wouldn't be able to, find some reasonable explanation.
I think Tim will be like, what's the problem? He did the same thing with our chihuahua when I was a lad. Straight on the barbecue.
He did. What was the thing that Geoff did with the dog? There was
something he did.
There was the story of the family dog, wasn't there?
Anyway,
I think that Geoff needs to chop up Tiny and turn him into horse burgers and send him off to the glue factory. What's left with him, and
send him off to Iceland for
and that would finally make Tim see.
I think it's either got to stop here with Geoff sort of being unmasked during the trial, or it continues with Geoff letting Yasmeen off the hook.
It feels like there's no end in sight. I'm not particularly complaining. It's just when Yasmeen, I do sometimes think that when Yasmeen starts saying, "Oh yes, but Geoff, he did it for my own good, and he's because he loves me," I go, "No, Yasmeen, you turned a corner so many times."
But you've got to understand.
I do understand. It's just frustrating.
To realise that you everything you thought was true is a figment of somebody else's imagination.
It's very understandable. Just as a viewer, it's a bit frustrating.
I know. Yeah, I understand.
Right, from one bit of drama to another. Ollie Wobbles,
How come
Gemma.
I'm doing Ollie Wobbles?
You said you wanted to do Ollie Wobbles today.
No, I said I wanted to do Yasmeen, didn't I?
You did, didn't you? Oh, well, it's tough.
Damn it.
You're
I'm
wobbling.
stuck with the terminally ill child.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, no. Right, okay, so on Monday... Oh, they had a very artistic start to the...
I liked
the week with this, because Monday started with feet running across the cobbles to start the episode off.
I actually looked at that and I thought, this isn't a Matt Hilton, is it?
Well, was it?
No, it
I don't
wasn't.
think it was.
It wasn't. But yeah, the feet running across the cobbles, it's like, ooh, who is that? I mean, I think we knew who it was, but I did enjoy that.
This made more sense to me as artistic flourish than it did anything that made sense in the story, because it's Leanne running along because she wants Ollie back from Steve's house.
Taken Ollie over the
She's just suddenly woken up, I think, and decided that she wants her kid back, and Nick's following her. They're both wearing their
Jim Jams.
Yeah, and he tries to tell her to calm down. And then, we get Dr. Gaddis comes around, and
he's called Gaddis in because he thinks that Leanne's going a bit nuts, and maybe Gaddis will be able to help her out, but she's not interested, is she?
Dr. Gaddis is like, this would have been so much easier if I'd still had a counsellor.
Yeah, I've got nobody to recommend now.
Oh, wait a minute. Isn't your sister the counsellor that used to work for me? I don't even know why I'm here, Nick. I've got people that are ill. Anyway, yeah, so she's not sleeping, etc., and she won't go to counselling or anything. So I don't really remember what Dr. Gaddis says.
I didn't think... I don't either. And
think
you
she's
know, I
just like,
usually really pay
sympathy.
attention during Gaddis scenes, but...
I think she might
like
have
the
just
Kathy
gone,
stuff in the
"Ooh,
Yasmeen story, I thought it was going to
sad."
turn into more, and it didn't,
No.
or at least with that particular character.
Then Toya comes and visits Leanne, who is getting mad, and then she steps on the toy car that we know is Ollie's
Ollie's
passion for
favourite.
life, and he's always loved that, the best car ever. Breaks it, and she's trying to fix it, and she's stressing and shouting, saying, I'm not going to counselling, Toya, you can't tell me what to do, you're not a mum, and you never will be.
Again,
Sorry.
I just want to make I'd put a little complaint in here and said,
What?
we've seen this before. Literally last week, Leanne accused Toya of not understanding. How could she possibly?
This
She's
is
never
what gives
been a
me a
mum.
bit less
I've
sympathy
heard
for
that.
Toya, because I can Leanne, because I can understand, like, saying something awful once and then realising that you've made a terrible mistake and you've hurt somebody for no reason. I can't understand saying it again. Like, we know, I heard you. Yes, I'm not a mum and I never will be. Thank you very much for saying this to me.
I just felt that this bit could be all have been condensed into one.
She says, I'm sorry, but then she starts up again. She says, you don't know what heartbreak is. You should be thankful you can't have kids. And Toya just gives her this heartbroken look. She just knows not to say anything, because if she says anything, there'll just be an argument and it's not going to help anybody. So
You'd have thought that as a counsellor, she might know what to say in all situations of drama.
shut up about you. On Wednesday, yeah, but it's difficult. Yeah, being a counsellor is easy when you're removed from the situation, and you can say, "But how did that make you feel?" And have you spoken to anyone about
Toya
it?
needs to go home to ask herself how it made her feel.
She has to look in the mirror and says, "How does it make you feel?"
She's not an improv
She's
counsellor.
so mean. On Wednesday, Nick speaks to Leanne about Toya coming over to see her upset, and he's like, "Stop being a bitch." And she's like, yeah, well, guess what? Imran comes over and he's like the same.
Well, yeah, he phones up and it's like he calls up their flat, doesn't it? And it feels like there's an Imran imminent. Although he does keep his calm, doesn't he?
He's pretty restrained, really, for somebody who has seen their partner be mentally abused
Twice in 1 week.
Twice now by some annoying uppity woman who has also ruined his chances for being a father in the near future.
Yeah.
I think I'd throw a few things.
The fostering, did it even get mentioned
No.
this week? They moved on from that.
They're like, well, we're not doing that now. Should we just get a cat?
Yes.
Yeah, get a cat. Imran says, look, Toya is very forgiving, but you've got no right to talk to her like that, and no matter what you think, you need help. And Nick agrees, and he says there's a support group for families who have a terminal illness, and
I heard about it on the ITV website.
yeah, but she's not ready to talk about it, and I can really understand.
Yeah.
Because if you go to this, it becomes real, doesn't it?
Mm.
And it's another step toward accepting.
Yeah, the clock's
Accepting the
ticking
truth.
on Ollie's life.
Now Simon's sulking, and Jenny's trying to talk to him.
He's gone over
in
and
the
to live with
Rovers.
Peter, hasn't he? At the Rovers.
Yeah, why don't you revise? And he's like, I don't need to. I'm in a soap. No,
I
he
don't
says,
need exams.
I do it to make your mum proud. And he's like, oh, she wouldn't even notice if I did anything, which I can sympathise with again. No point. I only ever did anything to make my mum and dad proud of me.
Oh.
Yeah. So Nick's like, right, you need to talk. That's it. Enough is enough.
I'm talking to Leanne, and you need to talk to me.
Leanne, stop it.
Because all this time he's been pushed further and further out, and she's just not opening up to him, and as her partner, ex-husband twice maybe. He really deserves a bit of respect and opportunity to air his views.
Well, this is the thing. Everything is about Leanne right now. She's made the whole thing about herself. And
So selfish.
Well, she has a little bit sort of like completely minimised everybody else's grief and feelings. She doesn't care that Toya can't have kids because her pain is worse.
Well, she still doesn't know about the fostering, does she, Leanne?
No, but Toya can't have kids, that's why she's fostering.
Yeah.
Although that shouldn't be the only reason that you consider it, she doesn't care that what Nick feels about it. She doesn't care about Steve, the fact that he's the father of Ollie. Literally, all she can think about is how sad she is and how mad she is, and obviously that's totally understandable. But really, this whole story is about how Leanne is not coping, and she's not interested in anyone else, and she doesn't care about other people's feelings, and she doesn't care about what other people are having time with Ollie.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want to talk to anybody about it. She just kind of wants to sit in the feeling of grief and anger. But Nick's not really prepared to let that continue anymore, because she's not just being self-destructive.
Yeah.
Well, she's not just doing that, but she's bringing everyone else around down with her.
Such a downer, Leanne.
Leanne, I don't know what is wrong with you, but you're such a bummer these days. Well, she's already kind of jeopardising Simon's future because now he's not paying attention to his work. It's not her fault, but and she unknowingly has prevented Toya and Imran from fostering.
Yeah, I mean, if Simon, if he fails another exam, or if he walks out of his general studies GCSE, then
what is going to happen?
Yeah.
She starts crying that whenever she sees Simon, she remembers Ollie will never be that age, and it makes her really angry.
I thought that was really sad. And that's why she's mad at Simon, because he's living longer than Ollie ever will.
And she wants to die as well. He says, we can get through this together, and she nods. And she goes to see Simon at the Rovers to apologise, and he understands and accepts her apology, but I don't think he wants to go back to live with her.
No, I can't remember. She says, come back and live with me.
But I don't think it's a good idea.
He wasn't hanging around on Friday.
Friday, he's like, Leanne. Nick says to Leanne, listen, get counselling. Everyone's sick of you. Stop crying all the time. Please get some counselling. But she's very reluctant about it. And then Toya goes round, and Leanne apologises again. I don't know why Toya accepts this. I would say
she said she had very broad shoulders or
stop
something.
Apologising. How about stop being a raging bitch in the first place, and you have to apologise all the time?
Have you ever thought of taking up counselling, Gemma?
Listen. What do I need counselling for? This is just
being
naturally
a counsellor.
Oh yeah.
Stop being a bitch to everybody, Leanne. Have you thought of that?
I thought you were saying I need to get counselling to stop being a bitch, but this is just how I am. Yeah, I think I'd be great as a counsellor. I'd be like, listen, have you even seen Coronation Street? Because people go through so much more than you are.
Yeah.
Right now. So they talk about support groups again, and Leanne's like, no, I don't know, it just sounds really depressing. And Toya says, I have an idea.
That was really funny. It was another one of these soap things. It's like, I've got an idea. I'm not going to tell you what it is. We're just going to end the scene now, and I'm going to go away. And don't ask me any questions about what my idea is.
I know.
I'm going to come back later with my idea.
I think if I was Leanne, I'd be like, I'm very emotionally fragile.
Just tell me.
Is it going to be a parade? Because I can't cope. But she comes back with the head of the support group, who's very obliging and lovely. I don't know why she's got time to do this, but apparently house calls are part of the gig. I assume it's some kind of charity.
She was one of Toya's friend or something. Well, I can't remember.
I assume this is this woman's full-time job. I would hope that it would be nice if this was a thing that was funded. So she comes around and sees Leanne and says, I thought it was her nephew. Maybe I misheard.
No, you might have been. I've written son here, but boy relation.
I too knew a young boy. Leanne is left alone, and she talks. She goes through this book of kids with all terminal diseases.
Leanne's like, "Blimey, I thought I was a downer. You take the biscuit here, woman."
Yeah, and she talks about it. Oh, I think it's the smack in the face to Leanne as well, because
it's Leanne realising that she's not the only person going through this,
and it's really not. It really shouldn't matter, should it? Because your grief isn't lightened by others suffering from the same from the same thing, but it does help to talk to other people, and I don't know.
Yeah, well, Leanne wants to know, like, how did you manage to cope through this, and the woman says, well, my son/nephew, I just made sure that I enjoyed whatever moments I had with him. I didn't want to wallow in it. I just had a wonderful time with him, and he ended up living 2 years longer than he was even supposed to.
I thought this was a bit. She says, "Oh, he got given 4 years to live, but he was around for 6 years, and I took every day. Didn't take any day for granted or whatever." But I just thought, "Oh, don't tell her that, because Leanne will be like." And now I can. Well,
Ollie's not been given a
no, he hasn't been given a time frame, but I can just imagine now. Now she's been told he got given 4 years, but he got 6. If Ollie gets given a time frame and then he doesn't live as long as that, she's going to get mad, because now she's been given this kind of. But all these children have different things.
Yeah, you promised me 50% extra free. Yeah. I want my money back.
They're getting rid of deals now because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So this was a very tragic, and she was talking about the camping trip they went on and everything, and it looks, and I think that Toya did say something like it's not a depressing group. I don't see how that can be true, but well, I've never been to a support group.
It'll be interesting to see what Leanne takes from this, because as we know, Ollie's not going to be able to feature in much more, if any, of this story, because they can't have the kid, or is it kids? I can't remember, who play Ollie on set anymore. And it may well be. I've got honestly no idea how long they're planning to keep Ollie around. But yeah, he could just die off screen.
Well, they're not going to let them. The woman says, "Oh, you can bring the children to the support group if you want to," and Leanne's horrified at the idea of bringing Ollie, because she's trying to protect him as much as possible.
We're just not going to be able to see lots of lovely things that they do together, are we?
It's kind of like, whenever there's any kind of, now it seems like on Corrie, whenever something mental healthy happens, there's always a scene where they go to a support group.
Yeah,
don't you think?
There is a lot of that. We had it with Gemma not long ago, did we?
I mean, yeah, exactly. And obviously it makes sense and it's appropriate, and this is what people do. But again, doesn't it show you that it feels like the focus is very heavily on certain stories in Corrie that never existed before? And it's good that things are being tackled, and obviously I'm not complaining about that at all, but I am pointing out that it feels very much as though we're telling a certain type of story in a certain type of way now. I don't know how much. I don't know.
Does it almost just feel like it's a swap out the issue because the characters go through the same motions?
It feels a bit like. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of this week was very much like Leanne saying, "No, I don't want to go to counselling. Oh, as a counsellor, oh, it's not too bad, actually," which we did get with.
Fine.
It is, but I think we did get that with Gemma, didn't we? I don't want to go to a support group about my postnatal depression. Oh, actually, the support group was quite helpful. Yeah. And I don't think there was a whole lot of drama-wise, and maybe even though I complained a bit about the Toya getting shouted at again, that was the drama this week, wasn't it? Because otherwise it would have just been very much a case of watching this poor mother going through an awful situation, and it.
Well, there always has to be conflict.
Yeah, there wouldn't have been any conflict.
But yeah, like I say, I just feel as though it's wandering so far away from what Corrie used to be about, and it sounds so stupid for me to moan about this because I never cared before. And it's not like I'm a poser, like I watched the 60s episodes and now I know what real drama is. But we never had any of this stuff. We never had sickness, we never had counselling, we never had all this stuff, and support groups and things. And we still managed to make compelling drama. But why now? Why does every story just feel like it goes down the same route?
The issues ones.
Well, yeah, because we have the issue stories and the like I said, the illness stories and the mental health stories, and they're all really important.
Yeah, but
I
maybe
don't
it's a
wanna
bit
ever
too
say-
much of a safe path.
I don't want to ever say this is like, oh, don't do this, but it gets very predictable because they're being responsible. That's the trouble. I think that's the trouble. They've got to be responsible. They can't just be like, oh, Leanne's a nutter. She's gone crazy. She's worried about her baby. Just tell her to have another one. You know what I mean? Like they probably would have done in the 60s.
Yeah.
Are you sure she's had a baby? Oh, we've looked in the rubble and there's not one here. She's probably just crazy. You know what women are like. But you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I'm still enjoying it.
But then
though.
again, you know, we went through phases where it was literally just the plats and drug dealers, and then we went through a phase where it was like, oh, everyone's having an affair with everybody else.
Yeah.
It does go through trends on Coronation Street, but it just really does feel like for the past few years since Hayley, I feel as though there's been like a big medical story, and then everybody's coping and talking about their feelings.
And
I don't.
Isn't it sad?
I find it repetitive.
Yeah. I'm not particularly minding with this story. I'm enjoying the mix of characters they've got there. The fact, I've said before, that they're killing off a child is interesting to me. Don't use that against me in court.
Yeah, this is going to be a sound clip.
But yeah, if they've got to, honestly, they've got to give it a rest after this one. Otherwise, it's...
if they have any more medical stories where people are dying, it just seems like a...
Yeah.
Yes, it is like real life. Yes, we've gone through this. We've gone through this ourselves. Like, well, my friends are going through this. But also other things happen. Other things. And that's why I like the coercive control storyline, because it's something that's important, it's relevant, it's timely, it challenges people, it makes people think more about what they want, other people's experiences, and it's an extreme, dramatic version of a real life thing.
Yeah.
That's why I like it, but there's opportunity for other stories.
But it's also why I like the softer, nicer storylines, like the Roy and Evelyn, the Fizz and Tyrone stuff recently.
I know, and it's silly because, you know, romances have been the backbone of soaps, and there's no new way to tell a romance story, is there? There's just different people and different characters.
Yeah.
I think it's just because these are so heavy as well. If everyone thought that these storylines were great fun and really hilarious, then I wouldn't complain about it. But it takes an emotional toll on you, and it's easy. We distance ourselves from these things by being light-hearted about them and making jokes and stuff. Not everybody does that. And
there have been lots of people
tough.
that are saying they're switching off, or this is too depressing.
It's difficult because you want to tackle things that mean something to people, but if it hits too close to home, it becomes you don't want to be doing emotional labour while you're watching a soap. Not all the time.
Before we move on to the next story, I think we need to talk a little bit about maybe the more light-hearted side of this, which was spot the social distancing scenes. Because this week was the first time that we got to see a little bit of the post-lockdown filming, which was only, 3-4 weeks ago maybe? So this must have been one of the closest ever Coronation Street, or not ever, for a long time, that Coronation Street has been to the filming date when they broadcast it. Because, I mean, it was probably fairly obvious, but I don't know. I wonder whether to the casual viewers or the people that weren't looking out for it, how obvious was it that in the scenes in Leanne and Nick's flat, everybody was stood far apart from each other. Also, Nick's hair colour changes.
Can I just say
also,
something?
Simon's afro puffs out.
Can I just say that I think it is a very British thing to be physically distant when you're guarded and you're feeling emotionally vulnerable. I don't think as a race we're very touchy-feely kind of... We don't... obviously I'm generalising, but to me, watching that scene where you had Toya, Leanne, the counsellor and Nick all in, like, basically, like, they could be in four corners of a boxing ring having a discussion about how Leanne needs counselling.
It didn't feel odd to me.
Right to me, because people do this. They physically distance themselves because they want to be emotionally distant. And I know that it's easy to show emotion between characters by touch, and obviously quite often actors will rely on that, you know, to touch somebody, or, you know, embracing or just being physically close and mirroring your body language. But I think that they've all done a really good job in their performances to make it seem natural.
Yeah, see, There was the one scene on Wednesday where Leanne was having a good old cry to Nick, and it felt like he should have given her a hug. And I think when Ben Price did his back to work interviews mid-June, he said, "Oh, sometimes your character, you think they would hug, but you just have to use your looks." But even then,
luckily he's been blessed with good ones.
Even then, it
made
didn't,
sense to me because it was the manifestation of the mental distance between the two. Because Nick is trying to reach Leanne emotionally, and the physical distance just was like a metaphor for that, because she is so enclosed in her own grief, like it's a bubble around her, and nobody can penetrate it.
So on Monday, those of us who look on social media and everything had been warned this is going to have some post-lockdown scenes, and I was worried before Monday's episode that I would be too distracted looking out for them. And I think on Monday maybe I was a little bit. I was going, oh, they're far apart from each other. Oh, they're like, oh, look, Nick's got a beard there, and here he hasn't. But by today, honestly, I'd forgotten, and I was about 2/3 of the way through tonight's episode, and I caught myself thinking, oh, I haven't checked to see if there are any social distancing. Oh yeah, they are there. Which is good, because I think that if it still is majorly distracting, then it's going to be a real shame. I hope that
I just think they've done
it's just
really
going to feel
good.
natural and normal. I think it's been good so far. Yes, it's a shame that the hair colours were different, and Simon's hair is much longer in the scene in the Rovers, but you can't. What can you do? You gotta forgive them for that.
Shoot them all and start again.
But apart for the actual distancing bit itself, honestly, it felt quite natural to me.
I thought it was fine. They did a great job. It was the performances and the setup and the camera work that not everybody looked that like they were 2 meters apart from each other. They did a great job.
I suppose once they start having it with all of the storylines, because I think it was just this storyline.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It might be a bit more noticeable there, because if you go think about the factory scenes today, like when Kurt was taking Michael's sandwich.
Don't eat his sandwich!
Then to have scenes like that with everybody far apart, maybe that's going to look odd. But I'm really hoping.
Yeah, but don't forget,
I'm not gonna. It's gonna just become natural, and I won't notice because it'll be too distracting for me.
Yeah, but don't forget that once we get to a certain stage, they will be in Corona land with us, so it will make sense. It doesn't make sense when you've got two people that supposedly live with each other sitting on two ends of the sofa. But it does make sense if you had everybody in the factory with masks on going, don't come near me, plague bearer.
I bet the Coronation Street higher-ups at some point thought, why did we have so many people living in the same household together on Coronation Street? Why did we cram 15 people living in Gail's house? Because now we're going to have to make them... They're not going to be able to be next to each other.
And also, why did we inexplicably hire about 3 or 4 rando people in the factory with no specific job titles just right this second?
Yes, typical.
You've got Alina, you got Michael, you got Toya.
Yeah.
All work there doing unspecified jobs. I mean, Michael's on sales, and Alina picks the papers up and sort of taps
shuffle,
them.
Yeah. I do not know what Toya does in the factory. I'm sorry.
Toya is like
I don't know.
The Deanna Troi of Star Trek. She probably just stands there, and the guy is the other side of the negotiating the prices of pants, and she's like, I'm sensing that he wants to get a good deal. He really wants our prices to be lower. Thank you very much, Toya. we would not be able to do this without you.
There's also, I suppose, is it 2 weeks' time? I think that all of Coronation Street is going to be post-lockdown. I suppose then that's when you're going to start to really notice.
I bet they're really annoyed as well, because some of the things that they said they were going to implement now aren't actually what we do. I know,
they've said, the Rovers is going to be giving takeaways, and
so you are allowed in pubs now, aren't you? Yeah,
from last Saturday. So I think
like, God damn it, people wanted this, and now look what you've done.
I think it's going to feel awkward, and I'm still not convinced whether they're going to have this time jump or not. The closer we get to the date, the more I'm thinking they're not going to have a time jump. They're just going to make us think that it's happened and nobody noticed it before.
I think I'm perfectly... When I was watching this today, I was thinking I would be perfectly fine if it just went from 1 week to the next, and it was suddenly everyone's wearing face masks, and they've been doing this the whole time.
No, I think when they do it, I honestly, I think a time jump is the only way for it to not seem majorly awkward. But I don't think they're going to do it. It's going to be.
I would rather. Well, there's no point.
There's no point. We will see, won't we, in a few weeks.
The further through we get to this weird process of being in a pandemic, the more we have acclimatized ourselves to it, like frogs in a boiling pot, and nothing is weird anymore, and we're all just over it.
I don't know how it is on Emmerdale now, because I assume they've got past their, two-hander lockdown episode. So in the land of Emmerdale, Corona has definitely happened, and people have spent an amount of time in lockdown.
Yeah.
They can refer to that. Oh, I don't know.
Maybe they're going to say, like, oh, Weatherfield's having a local lockdown. That's why everybody's still doing takeaways.
I just don't know. I'm kind of cringing and dreading and thinking this is going to feel really awkward. I just need to rip that plaster off and see how they cope with it. And I'm sure they've done the best they can. But, yeah, we'll see. We'll see, won't we? Let's move on to the Roy story now. Sorry, it wasn't Roy. He tried to insert himself into the story, but really it's the Arthur and Evelyn story, which again I absolutely loved. So there's a bit more teasing from Tyrone on Monday about Evelyn and Arthur going out on a date. They're going to walk by the Rochdale Canal today, which is apparently a very romantic spot.
Is it real?
Yeah, I assume so. There's a lot of canals up there.
I know there's lots of canals.
Roy finds out about this and he gets a proper full-on geek mode about the canal and starts talking their ears off all about it. And Evelyn invites him along, having just heard Arthur saying that it's a romantic spot, because Evelyn's been resisting.
Oh, it's very nice.
Oh, good.
I think it's a nice picture.
Oh, so
it
romantic.
looks like the sort of place I'd like to speedwalk with my mum.
Yeah, Evelyn's been trying to resist the, taking that big step with Arthur, and I think at this point she's thinking, well, if I invite Roy along, then that's going to be my excuse for today, or why I don't take things further, why I don't hold his hand or whatever. So Arthur's looking pretty miffed by this, and he tells Evelyn later when Roy's getting ready, look, I hoped it'd just be me and you on this trip, and Evelyn lies and says, oh yeah, me too, what can you do? But he pretty much invited himself, didn't he? So Wednesday, we don't get to see any of this walk, but they've returned from it pretty quickly. Evelyn has made up the fact that Cerberus's arthritis is playing up. It's all over, really. So Roy says, well, maybe we can have a picnic next time. And Arthur seems pretty annoyed about that, because he's desperate just to get some alone time with lovely Evelyn.
Get a bra off.
Yeah, exactly. Nina has to spell it out to Roy that Evelyn and Arthur were on a date, and they only let him come along so not to be rude. And it was, in a way, it was kind of funny to have Nina explain this very obvious situation to Roy. But to be honest, while I was watching that on Wednesday, I was thinking, is Roy that socially inept? And I know he's very socially inept, but I do wonder whether he would have picked up on those vibes. Especially as he's no stranger to romance, being part of one of Coronation Street's most iconic couples. I don't know. I just thought he might have spotted that.
I think
it was funny to have her explain it.
Yeah, the further through we get with Roy as a character, the more it does kind of annoy me a little bit that they don't want to say he's autistic.
They're not going to, are they?
Because I think they're trying to do it as a way of sort of excusing themselves of getting anything wrong.
Yeah.
They don't want to open themselves up to criticism, but he clearly is not picking up on social cues. And to me, it would be really cool to have representation of somebody like that on Coronation Street, because if you do get yourself in trouble because you don't pick up on things that everyone else thinks are obvious, and but to if you're autistic, it's like a secret code that nobody's told you about.
Sometimes Roy can be quite astute.
That does, but
Yeah. Anyway, so Roy goes round to see Evelyn later and apologises. She says that he didn't realise that she and Arthur were romantically involved, and of course Evelyn says, no, bloody well not. You bugger off, Roy. I'm not having any of that. She was whisking up she was whisking up an omelette or something, and she wants to get back on with that. So they go to the pub later. Roy buys Evelyn a drink, and she's still denying her feelings about Arthur. And when he tells her that, well, you know what, Arthur clearly thinks very highly of you, she does allow herself a wee little smile.
Aww.
Back at home, she goes home phones up Arthur to apologise, and she gets all that. She kind of tripping over her words and everything. She's getting all tongue tied about it, and she can barely bring herself to apologise. And when she does, it's like, I'm sorry about Cerberus's arthritis earlier. Maybe we could try and have a walk, just maybe me and you together sometime. And then this Sunday, and she says, it's a date, and then just kind of squirms at her choice of words there.
At herself for saying date.
Yeah.
Oh!
It's very cute.
It's such a shame he's a murderer.
No, he's not, just in your head. I'll just get on with it. Get on with
shut
it, please.
up. What the hell's wrong with you?
I'm really loving it, but I just want them to have a happy ending.
Oh, I'm fed up with them pushing couples together and they're giving them no chance to get romance. Oh, why don't they all just get?
No.
Why don't they just shag already?
No, I want to see the romance now. They're still in the pre-romance stage.
They're not. They are clearly romancing each other, but they won't admit it. That's why it's sweet and funny.
It is very sweet.
They've been on dates. This is not the first date. They've been on dates.
I want them to properly. I want to have a week where this story is the headliner, because it always comes at the end, doesn't it? It's always they get a couple of scenes this episode, kind of treat to watch. And with
skipping down the Rochdale Canal,
and sadly we've got 2 weeks until they go full on post lockdown, and we're not going to be seeing any of Evelyn and Arthur after that, are they?
No.
So it could well be, and I haven't looked at any previews for the next 2 weeks. This could be the stopping point for this romance for an incredibly long time, and that makes me really sad.
They're not in each other's bubbles.
No, they're not. I mean, I was wondering as well whether we could get... We wonder whether that Arthur's ill or anything. I wonder whether another ending of this could be that Arthur gets fed up of Evelyn not picking up on his hints that he wants to bone her, and he gives up on her. And then that would be tragic as well, wouldn't it? He's like, well, obviously Evelyn doesn't like me like
if
that.
If he thinks he's got anyone else who's a patch on Evelyn waiting in the wings, he's sorely mistaken.
I know, because she's got a good heart, hasn't she? Really sweet stuff.
She doesn't really.
I think I hadn't
Not
actually...
everyone
Before
can.
I mentioned it, though, I hadn't actually put two and two together and realised that we might not be seeing any more of this for an incredibly long time now, and that's really depressed me.
Oh, dear.
I've really enjoyed this story, as slow as it's been.
This is the sort of stuff I like.
Yeah.
I really like this kind of, like, character building, relationship building, funny, interesting. It brings up new dynamics.
Would you rather they just put it on hold, or would you rather we hear like Tyrone and Fizz talking about it, and so we know that it's still going on?
I think that would be the smart thing to do. I'd rather they carried on than gone, oh well, we can't do this story anymore, so he's just going to dump her.
They have said that when they get to the post-coronavirus part of Coronation Street, that they will talk about older characters shielding or whatnot. So maybe they'll say, maybe they could just use it as an excuse and say, well, Evelyn and Arthur can't see each other anymore, and then it'll be even more tragic.
Oh, like Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, I know.
But they hopefully, don't die at the end.
Hopefully not.
Who's the nurse? Cerberus.
Yeah.
Right. Next is...
Who's Friar Lawrence? Anyway.
Grace.
Mercutio. Grace, Michael... is what I say to this story this week. Have you heard the theory going around about these two?
What?
We'll get there in a minute.
I probably have.
I think it's a juicy theory.
Oh,
we'll
get to it at the
end.
end.
It has kind of ignited my interest in this, as long as it's true.
They're really brother and sister.
No. Yeah, Grace is really Dee Dee. She's been away a long time. He's forgotten what she's looked like.
She's his
been
mum.
recast.
She's his real mum.
No, we'll get to it in a minute.
He's Batman.
What?
I don't know. Monday.
Tell us what happened.
James overhears Michael booking a table for two for him and Grace, and he knows that he's keeping it secret that they are becoming romantically involved from Aggie.
At least in Michael's head, anyway.
And he thinks that he should tell Aggie because she's going to hit the roof if she doesn't find out from him. In the cafe later, James is like, right, Michael, we've got to tell Aggie about this.
Tell Mum, she's over there, look.
And she's like, what? No way! She's such a flake, how could you? And then Michael's like, well, if you don't like it, maybe I should just move out. And Aggie's like, go on then. Don't get my hopes up.
To be fair, I mean, he is like
You
in
are
his
a
late
grown
20s now. Maybe it's about time.
I mean, we know that the real estate problem in Weatherfield is ridiculous, but I'm sure he could find somewhere to bunk.
Yeah.
Wednesday, Ed tells Aggie that she needs to back off when it comes to Michael and Grace because he wants to be a dad to Tiana, and it does make sense, doesn't it, to get back together with the woman who's had your baby.
But it's nice if you're both up for it.
Well, yeah. So everyone, I know people are talking about this. There's definitely animosity between Aggie and Grace that really has not been explained, because Aggie is a lovely woman and she seems very kind-hearted and warm and generous to everybody except for Grace. And that's why I keep thinking there must be something more to this that we haven't found out. But why not tell us?
I am no Grace fan by any means, but this is putting me off Aggie a bit more.
I just think, I don't know, because I always used to be like a bit of a Grace champion, didn't I? Like, there must be something there must be something more to this story, because you don't just enter someone else's family antagonistically. And Aggie is so horrible to her. It just feels like there's some kind of missing event that would make sense of all of this dynamics.
Yeah, well, maybe this could be part of the theory. I hadn't thought about it before, but when we get there in a minute.
Okay. Yeah, so he wants to be a father. So they have this date time, and they're both in the bistro. And
you'd be forgiven for not recognising it because it has been recently refurbished.
And I said Grace looked like she was dressed as a banana because she had like a ripening banana.
You did, didn't you?
Because she had a yellow blouse with these little
black
brown
splodges
all over it. He says, "Can we please try again?" And she's like, "No, back away. I do like you, but I don't think it will work out."
She looked very awkward. She wants
"Oh,
to say something, but she can't.
Your mum's a big bitch," is what she wants to say.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to work out, especially with the way your mum is acting. And then she leaves. I don't know enough about what evil mother-in-laws are like. Good. I know that. I don't. I know that some women just cannot cope with a new daughter-in-law because they get jealous, but it doesn't seem like that with Aggie. It feels like something happened between Grace and Aggie that we don't know about.
Quite possibly.
Friday, Michael tells Aggie what happened.
There we go, Friday's episode. So-and-so tells so-and-so about what happened between him and so-and-so last episode.
You don't forget, yeah, okay. And they argue about how much she's interfering, and then she brings him a comedy sandwich at lunchtime, which was salami, kiwi and hummus.
Yeah.
And Kirk eats it because it's funny that he likes her cooking. And he just says, we don't want to fight with you, but I just want you to stop. I want to stop you from being hurt, not being happy.
Yeah.
Because I don't think this is right.
Yeah.
But fine, whatever.
So the theory is, Gemma, which I don't think I'd considered until a few days ago when I saw somebody post it online, is that Michael isn't actually Tiana's dad.
And who knows this? Just Grace.
Nobody knows. Well, quite possibly, but then it could well be Aggie as well. I mean, that family is full of secrets, isn't it?
Well,
ever since they've arrived, each of them has had a secret about something. Secret gambler, secret gay footballer, secret I killed somebody when I was a nurse. Secret daughter.
Yeah.
Why not secret not daughter? Go on, what were you saying?
No, I've lost it.
Sorry. What do you think about that? Do you think that's possible? Do you think, would that be juicy for you?
I mean, it's juicy from a soap perspective. It makes Michael more interesting to me because I'm really sorry to say, but whenever somebody becomes a parent, they instantly become less interesting because all they care about is their kid, which is correct, obviously, but I'm not interested in storylines about kids. And
Gemma's become 4 times less interesting.
Yeah, and who babysits them. The first 5 or 6 years of somebody having a baby on Coronation Street, for the blokes it's like nothing's changed, and for the women it's like, oh, who's going to babysit?
Yeah, Leanne should count herself lucky because they're cutting that period.
Shut up. So, but Michael seems like he's really into having a kid, and it would devastate him. I know that there was some criticism of the fact that Michael was, because Michael's like one of the few black characters on the show, and he was estranged from his family, and I know that there is like black fathers not being present in families is a massive issue, but I hadn't really come across that as something that is a big thing in the UK.
No.
So to me, when it turned out that Michael was a dad of a family that he wasn't with, to me it didn't set off alarm bells like, oh, this is a really negative portrayal of a black person, and it's adding to bad stereotypes. So or maybe I'm being ignorant, but I really don't think that in the UK that is something that is a problem for as much as it is in a different country. So there's a lot of political baggage with this storyline, because yet again Coronation Street is in a situation whereby they have a group or a person who's representing a bigger group or minority that isn't represented as well, and so everything they do has a greater impact. So this messing around with the parentage and stuff, I don't know, it's like, well, be careful where you step with this, because
I know that Bailey's, as well as being all about the secrets, they've all been all about the issues, haven't they? But it doesn't feel to me like this is an issue story.
Well, if it turns out that if Michael isn't Tiana's real dad, it's just pure soap drama, isn't it?
That would, if we find that out, all of a sudden this story, which has been trudging along for like 6-7 months now, suddenly takes a massive upturn for me.
Well, it would make sense why Grace suddenly went cold when Michael was like, let's get together again.
Yeah, it makes me wonder why she originally said, yes, she's yours. I can't remember because it was so long ago now.
Well, he met her in the car park, didn't he?
He did.
Like, oh.
But is she getting anything out of it?
This is the thing that doesn't make sense to me.
Right back from then, she was trying to withdraw or keep access from him, wasn't she? He kept making dates with her, like around Christmas time, and then she wouldn't show up. And maybe she's just backpedaling on the fact that she's, feeling guilty about the fact that she's like made this massive lie.
I just don't know what's in it for her then, because she's not been a cutthroat materialist, has she? She hasn't got loads of money off of Michael. She hasn't forced them to babysit or take care of the kid.
No, I don't think there's anything in it. I think that she just, as I say, she feels like she's caught up in a massive lie now.
But why write down some random man's name? Who's the real father, and why is that such a secret? Unless it's Ed.
Oh, no.
Well, it's got to be someone dramatic, because if it's like, it's not you, it's Frank from down the road, everyone will be like, who gives a
you nearly... Oh, that was close. My finger was on the buzzer there.
Who gives a darn about that?
I mean, maybe Grace is kind of battling with the thought of, do I tell Michael that this is her and then we'll be able to be a happy family together, because I've been a single mother for the past year and it's not worked out, and if this guy thinks he's the dad, he's not, but maybe it'll work out okay. And then the other half of her, the angel on her shoulders, saying, no, you can't say this, you can't make this person live a lie.
But right from the start, she's been standoffish. Why would you go, yeah, it's your kid, but I don't want anything to do with you? Wouldn't you just say... It would make more sense if she lied and said it's not your kid, but it
maybe
really was.
Well, I mean, the reason that it would...
James's kid.
Oh, yeah. The reason that it would be his kid is that she got pregnant while she was with him, so maybe she doesn't want to admit that she had an affair with somebody else while she was still going out with him.
I know, but at this point... She why does she care what their opinions of her are? Aggie already hates her.
So do you think that Aggie might know the truth? And that's why she hates Grace so much? She knows that Grace had an affair with whoever. There's
no way Aggie would know that Tiana was not really her grandchild and not say something and act like she cared. She loves Tiana. Ed and all the Baileys always want to spend time with Tiana. There's no way that they think there's something fishy about who her real father is, unless Tiana is actually time travelled backwards Dee Dee.
No.
Just a suggestion.
I mean, Aggie could still possibly know that Grace had an affair without suspecting that Tiana is...
Or maybe the thing is that this would only make sense if Grace sort of said, yes, I had an affair, Aggie, please do not tell Michael, I don't want to hurt his feelings, I've done a paternity test, here's the results, it was forged, but it's actually his baby. But again, for what purpose? Unless the true identity of the father is so shocking and horrible that Michael makes sense as a dad.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe it's Arthur, the Salford slasher.
Maybe.
I just don't know. It just doesn't make it's a really cool theory, and when I heard, I love that hear this as well. I like the idea of it because it's so salacious, but it doesn't make any sense because
I'm sure they could make it make sense.
No, I don't think they would bother to make it make sense. They just go, "This is it," so don't ask any more questions.
I don't know. I hope that they do it soon though, because this has been dragging. I hope that if it turns out that he's not the dad, we know the truth in the next couple of weeks.
But I don't think that's the case. I just really.
You just think Grace is a cow, and simple as that.
I've said all along, I think that something more is going on here between why Aggie and Grace are so mad at each other. I think the parenting thing is an interesting twist, but more interesting to me would be something happened between Aggie and Grace that we find out. I don't know what it is, some kind of argument, something horrible was said, something terrible happened, I don't know. But that's why they've always been so cold, and that's why Grace is reluctant to get involved in the relationship, and why Aggie keeps warning her off. I don't know. It's really intriguing, but I think everyone's.
Okay, I've kind of got to the place now, just over the last few days, where that's kind of become in my head. This is what's happened, and I'm a bit disappointed if it's not the case now.
I think it's just unfortunate that. Unfortunately, I think it will just turn out to be a case of, no, everyone's just acting way more dramatic than makes any logical sense, because we desperately wanted a storyline with the Baileys and we couldn't think of anything except that everyone hates each other.
Yeah. Well,
I just don't think we're going to uncover any greater motivation behind this, because I just don't think they've put enough that much thought into it.
Can you imagine how devastated Michael would be though if he finds out that he's not really? I really love Michael
and carry him around.
Oh,
I'll buy knickers off him.
And because it's happened in real life, people being made to believe that they're somebody's father or mother or maybe not mother, father, and then you realise that you've just been taken for a ride all this time.
Yes, Michael, that has happened in real life.
Right, siblings. Today's story, not much happened, but we get to see Charlie and Lexi again, who I thought we'd definitely seen the back of. Basically, Abby's starting the episode saying how wonderful it is going out with Kevin.
I love my life.
And how lovely Jack is.
I'm so content.
Kevin gets a breakdown call from this guy whose name Abby recognises, and she said, "I'm not taking that call." Have you tried counselling? Not that sort of breakdown. So Kevin has to go and sort this dude out, who is, as he said earlier, parked in the Coronation Street car park. And
that would be so funny if you had like a breakdown helpline.
Sadly.
And you were like, "Nope, I'm going to pass you over to the RAC department. We do mental breakdowns."
Sadly, I had seen a spoiler before the episode that this is what was going to happen, because you get to see Charlie and Lexi so briefly in the back of the car, and it's a definitely blink if you miss it moment at first, and then Lexi comes out and starts talking
like
to Kevin.
Child out of a horror movie.
She's been away from it so long.
Oh, nobody would
people wouldn't recognise. I think I probably would recognise Charlie. He's got a bit more distinct features, but Lexi maybe less so to me.
She was like she was being held hostage by the guy, because she stands there next to Kevin, inexplicably watching him, like the Children of the Corn or something, like blinking SOS or something, trying to hope he notices.
They're trying to take me to Australia.
Help! Help! They've got spiders.
So this is the story. This foster family are taking Lexi and Charlie over to Australia.
I think they're adopted. I think they've adopted them now.
Oh, yeah, maybe you're right, yeah.
I don't think you can just foster them off to another country.
They've heard about Martin Platt's cheese over there, and they want to get a taste of it. So they're all excited about it. Kevin, of course...
Martin Platt's cheese in Australia?
Is it Martin Platt in Australia, or is he in New Zealand at the moment?
I don't know.
Yes, that's where he's moved across
the character.
To. Yeah, I always get them confused. Kevin goes back to the garage. He doesn't know Lexi from Adam or Eve. And so he doesn't pay any attention to this. But when he gets back there, Abby admits to him, look, the reason why I didn't want to go on this call is because the guy, I think, is the person who adopted / fostered Charlie and Lexi. So that's that. And so Kevin now knows that Abby's son and daughter are going to be, whisked away to the other side of the world imminently.
And she doesn't know.
And she doesn't know it. I hope we don't have a story where he doesn't tell her and keeps a secret from her. I think he needs to tell her, like,
I
pretty
think
sharpish on
I
Monday.
would just go, oh my God, they're going to Australia. I
Yeah.
also don't know why you wouldn't be informed.
No, it's because she's had all contact cut with them, hasn't she? That was the
Seb
tragedy.
hasn't.
I thought Seb has as well.
I don't think that makes any sense. Listen, the story was Abby was a drug addict and she relapsed so many times that eventually she lost custody of the twins. Not Seb, because Seb was of an age that he could look after himself. So then she had to decide whether or not to fight for custody back, and she decided not to. But Seb said, no, I feel responsible. These are my siblings. I can't let them go into the system. I want to take care of them, and I can do it, I promise. Went to court, fought to be able to look after them, and then Abby threw a spanner in the works and said, listen, he ain't capable because he hasn't got anywhere to live, blah, 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 blah. And he lost the chance to take them back, and then they got adopted, I think, by a family who had a massive, great big adventure playground in their garden. And at the time, Abby was really upset about this because she obviously understood that Seb loved his brother and sister,
and she does as well, but she knows that she's not a good
they're
mum.
better off without her. But also I think she thought that Seb's going to ruin his life if he's got 2 kids to look after and he's 18 or whatever. How is he gonna get? This is not the best way. This is not, and it's not like if you're gonna live in a giant mansion or with your slightly older brother who doesn't have anywhere to live. You know, if you're picking, emotions aside, you want the best.
You want the giant mansion, yeah.
Well, you know, other people would argue differently, but Abby thought she was doing the right thing. So you think that she probably has.
I thought, and I might be remembering wrong, or I might just be remembering, you know, previous arrangements, that she was allowed to see them once a year. But you think, no, they've cut all ties.
Because I remember there was a bit where she was looking through the garden gate at them playing and cried because she couldn't go to them.
Yeah.
But the thing is, no matter what her arrangements with them are, Seb has no such arrangement. He wasn't banned from seeing them. He wasn't the drug addict. Just because you're not allowed custody, don't go, right, it's all or nothing. You either get custody or you never see them again.
I honestly can't remember. I don't know the legalities around it.
Surely Seb has contact with them.
I'm not sure whether he does, honestly. I can't remember why.
So he's like, one minute he's like, oh, I want to raise these children. It's like, well, if I can't have them, I'm not interested.
So, yeah, it might well be that
maybe
it's odd. It seems odd that she hasn't been informed.
Seb has always been a bit weird with Abby. They've kind of built their bridges back up again now, and he accepts her more than he did. But I can kind of imagine him knowing and not telling her.
No, I can't imagine that.
Despite her, because it's her fault.
No, I really, really can't imagine that at the moment.
He's a bit bitter.
So, what did you think about them bringing back the twins? Because to me, it felt a little bit of a Clayton situation where it's an extra part of this character, another kid that we just want to. I almost want them to just make a clean break from. I think Abby's better without the children.
Send them to Australia.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, are they going to go to Australia at the end of this?
I hope so.
Because, I mean, Abby is obviously that little scene at the beginning where she was saying, isn't it wonderful playing with Jack? We're supposed to take from that, oh, she is a good mum, actually.
She's maternal now.
Yeah, maybe she could look after the twins now. And I think this is what she's going to say. She's going to want to have the twins back, isn't she? I imagine. She's not going to want to see them go across the other side of the world and never see them again.
I think she might just feel guilty. Like, how can I hold my head up here when I'm looking after another man's kids, but not my own kids? Like, what a terrible person I am.
Yeah. Is there any way legally, and I think probably the answer is no here, that she could get them back? Can the court overturn?
Been adopted.
What if Mr. and Mrs. Essex die in some tragic soap accident?
What if they die in a car crash in Australia?
We hear it happens to Coronation.
They drive so fast over there.
Can Abby have them back in that case, or is there absolutely no way that she can look after them? Because the way I remember it is it seemed very, very final when they were whisked away from her last time. But Corrie
I
does
would
like
imagine
to
that if
change the rules sometimes.
That if they die, they would have nominated someone themselves.
Yeah,
Because I
that's
don't think
true.
there's any I don't think there's any difference. If you've adopted a child legally, your rights are the same as if it was your biological child.
Mm.
So were you to die, you would have nominated somebody already, and that would be legal, and nobody could really argue with it. Same as nobody.
What I was wondering as well, and again, this would be very soapy, if something horrible happens to these adoptive parents and they haven't nominated somebody to look after Charlie and Lexi, do they need a temporary foster care? In come Toya and Imran to look after them.
Wow! And then they're like, Abby, I understand you're emotional, but you mustn't speak to them because they need time away from you and your drugs.
Yeah.
I can imagine Toya being super, super protective.
But to be honest, I can't see that actually they would be allowed to just go and live up the street where Abby works.
Come on now.
But
this is a Coronation Street. There's a very small amount of space to live in.
I suppose that's similar to when Hope was taken away from Fizz and she went to live a couple of doors down the road, didn't she?
Don't go in the ginnel.
Because they could tie the stories in together there.
Does the dad know that you've killed him off?
It doesn't matter.
I was like, I'm from Essex.
This is all about the theories, this episode, isn't it?
I know, it's good, isn't it? Yeah, so
I don't know where else the story is going. Otherwise.
Well, I do.
Where?
The clutch. What's going to happen with the clutch? He's got to sell that car, and now the clutch is bust. He's going to have it towed back to the garage. Is Abby going to work on it? Because we know she's good with clutches.
I don't think that's where the thrust of the story is, Gemma.
Does he legally have to declare that it's just been repaired when he sells it, or can he just keep that quiet? Actually, would that be of benefit because it's got a new clutch?
Nobody cares.
Oh. Abby would probably find that quite interesting.
I was wondering as well whether to what extent Seb might be involved in this story, because he's already got his, admittedly gripping story with Alina and Emma that he might not be able to prize himself away from.
I'm romancing two ladies at once who are going to end up both kicking me to the curb.
Yeah. The other thing, I feel like we're going to see more tragic, dramatic, crying Sally Carmen in this. And I don't particularly mind, as much as I love Abby and as much as I complained about Emma crying. there's something about Sal's performance when she's really going through the ringer that just gets you.
That's because Emma and Abby are two fundamentally very different characters. Like we rely on Emma for her comedy and sweet lightheartedness.
But we do for Abby as well.
Yeah, but Abby's sarcastic and dark, isn't she? It's easier for her to go to dark places because she already lives there.
Oh, nice character analysis there.
Thank you.
So I'm interested in where this is going next week.
I'm interested in it, but at the same, it is a bit like you are the children.
It does. There's just a little bit of you bringing something up again that I thought I'd put to bed.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's an Abby story, so I'm not going to complain that much.
What is she going to do? I mean, really, all that can really happen is she goes, I'm really sad. My kids go to Australia.
I mean, she's so impulsive that she could literally do anything. I mean, is she going to try and kidnap them before they go out, get on the plane to Australia? For lots of characters, you say, no, of course not. But for Abby, maybe she will. But is she going to try and kill the dad before he takes it over to Australia?
Maybe she's going to double down on her relationship with Kevin, because she'll be like, oh, my family, I'm a terrible mum. No, I'm not. I'm a great mum. I can be a great mum to Jack and
give all her love to him.
To that.
But it's not the same thing. Yeah, interesting.
Interesting.
What I'm not finding interesting is Gary's story, which is still going. What happened today?
Friday.
Laura rocks up again.
Adam gets a phone call from Laura and she's moaning about money. I haven't got any money, blah, blah, blah. And Adam gives her advice, I guess, because then Laura turns up at Gary's place and says, you need to get Rick on the phone and tell him I want money. My bank account's empty. It's not enough to only get child support every now and then or whatever. Quarterly school fees won't cut it, buster. And if you don't give me the money, I'm going to tell the police that you know where Rick is because he's a wanted criminal. And then Gary's like, you wouldn't do that because you are... you wouldn't get any money anyway. And she's like, I've got nothing to lose. Get a job. Get a job, Laura. And then we later see Gary going, "Oh, where should I get this money from? My fake business isn't bringing any money in."
He gets a tenancy agreement for Underworld out, doesn't he? So
He's
you
gonna
suggested
hike up the rent.
You said that he might hike up the rent, and I'm wondering whether he finds a new buyer for Underworld. Who could be wanting to buy that property? Who could he sell to that maybe works right next door?
Rick.
No,
Nick.
Ray.
Rick's dead.
He's not going to be selling much to Rick at the moment.
Oh, that's a good theory.
Yeah, so I think that it might go there, honestly. I think that he might find a buyer. Because what benefit is it for him to own the Underworld? Underworld do bugger all anyway.
Well, he gets monthly rent. Don't you know what being a landlord's all about?
Yeah, but I think he's more likely to want to...
well, if he needs a load of money now...
Yeah, take the big cash sum.
Yeah, but he could just put the rent up.
No, I think he. That's my theory. He's going to sell it to Ray.
Rick.
Ray. And then that's going to...
You put sell off to Rick.
Yeah, I have said Rick in the notes. I didn't mean that. I apologise. So anyway, maybe. But I'm not going to get too excited because, as I said before, this story is still...
Well, you know, I really
dull
like
to
this
me.
story. I really like Gary's nefarious deeds, but it's always been on the understanding that at some point it would get really super interesting. That's why I've been so invested in it, because I'm like, this could get really good. But at the moment, I'm feeling in a similar way because it's turned into a naggy, annoying Laura busting his door down every 5 minutes for child support.
It's boring. It's like a couple of scenes once every 3 or 4 weeks. Dragged on.
I want some money!
No, can't blame Coronation Street for dragging
Rick's
things
dead.
out. But also this week, Johnny tries to phone up Jenny, but she says, I don't want to talk to him. And that's all we get from that
What's
story.
going on there?
No new clues this week, but Jenny's mad. So I would not like to be in Johnny's shoes when he does eventually return.
Maybe he'll never come
from
back.
France. Yeah, he's going to be locked down in France, isn't he? Maybe.
Yeah. Eating brie.
Okay, so this week, Gemma, what's your thinking for the rating? Because I really did quite enjoy Mondays and Wednesdays episodes. As much as I like to criticise this for being a bit too recap heavy, I thought that all of the stuff with Yasmeen was quite exciting. I really like that Sally is now, she's on Yasmeen's side. I really enjoyed the drama between Leanne and Nick and Toya. I thought that was quite compelling, even though it didn't progress a whole lot, plot twists wise or anything. I loved the Roy and Evelyn and Arthur stuff. Sorry, intrigued by Abby and Seb. It just didn't quite. I think Friday's episode didn't quite do it for me. But I would say this is a pretty solid 3.5 kind of week.
I was going to give it 3.5.
Yeah, that's right.
3.5 pie flips.
I was just literally about to say that.
Yes, I said it first.
Oh, well, I'm going to give it 3.5 kiwi hummus and salami sarnies out of 5.
I thought you were going to give
How
it that.
very
That's why I
culinary.
picked a different one.
So yeah, character of the week.
Tell you what, if you was going to choose between a kiwi hummus and salami sandwich or a pie to flip, which one would you pick? I think it's clear.
What?
The sandwich. Who wants that horrible sandwich? This is the thing. Again, Aggie, it's not funny that she can't cook or doesn't understand flavours. Nobody is that stupid and crazy.
It was a bit of a Mrs. Cropley recipe, wasn't it?
Can't we have somebody that the joke is that they're really good at cooking and they keep making fancy food that nobody wants to eat?
Who's your character of the week, Gemma? There's quite a lot to choose from, I would say here. You could choose Toya because despite all the abuse that's been thrown at her from her sister, she's still supporting her and wanting to help her out. It could be Leanne just for the acting and the drama and everything. It could be somebody from one of the lighter stories. Evelyn was a bit of a star this week. I don't know.
I can't give it to her because she's being so horrible.
I think. But then there's everything in the Geoff story. I mean, you could be perfect. You could give it to Geoff, and people would say, "Yeah, he was pretty exciting this week." I think I'm wondering Sally. I'm torn between Sally and Toya this week. I think they've both got strong cases for being characters of the week for me. Possibly erring on the side of Sally because although they both had to, it wasn't easy for either of them to make the move that they made this week. I feel that we saw a little bit more of Sally.
Yeah, Sally was definitely had a a bigger role in the story that she was in.
Yeah,
than Toya did.
and Sally's actions this week has got the potential to have bigger consequences and take the storyline off in a more dramatic direction than just what Toya did this week.
I'm going to say Sally.
I'm going to say Sally this week. Sorry, Toya, you're close.
Didn't Sally... No.
What?
So, did Sally go to the prison?
Yeah, Monday.
So didn't she see somebody there that she, like, one of the prison guards, and be like, oh yeah, I was
Oh yeah,
whatever.
yeah, she did.
That was funny.
Yeah, Sally this week.
Okay.
Because she stood up to Tim, she's standing up to Geoff, and she's on Team Yasmeen. Like
If I was Sally, I would watch my back. I would be so paranoid. Wouldn't you be worried? He could get violent.
Yeah, I know. Okay, I think we are done.